people here. That's great to see.
You're muted, Luca.
Let's just give people a moment to join here. We have a little presentation that Luca will give, but yeah, let's just hang out for a minute.
Anybody have fun, exciting weekend plans?
Not really.
Playing Factorio. I'm gonna play Factorio.
Oh yeah, they just had a big expansion, right?
Yeah.
Massive time sink.
Did the reporter actually join?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So now I'm not seeing it, but okay. Cool. Yeah. Welcome everyone. This is our first kind of open JSR meeting. I am glad that so many people are interested here. Yeah, I'll hand the floor over to Luca here to talk about JSR and what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Hey everyone. Welcome to the first JSR working group meeting. For me also, I'm Luca. I have done a lot of engineering on JSR together with Leo and some other folks from the Dino company. The person just talking was Ryan Dahl, who is the founder of Dino. I'm very happy to have so many of you here. I want to do a bit of a presentation here just to explain quickly what we want to do right now. This is only a 30-minute meeting right now. It's possible we're not going to get to doing a lot of talking this meeting. So there will be more meetings to do that. But yeah, let's do an introduction here. So this is a bit of the agenda that I have. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what the current state of JSR is, what our current roadmap is, main focus areas, and then how we want to do governance in the future. So as many of you probably know, JSR is an open source package registry for modern JavaScript and TypeScript. Designed for TypeScript, JSR packages are distributed as ECMAScript modules, not as CommonJS. It's not a replacement for NPM. It's a superset of NPM. And JSR modules can be used in a variety of runtimes, including in Node, Dino, Bun, Cloud Shell workers, and browsers. Our mission is to level up the JavaScript ecosystem. NPM has been stagnant for a while since the acquiry by GitHub. And yeah, we want to ensure that JavaScript package management is ready for the next 10 years of JavaScript development because we don't think this language is going anywhere. JSR happens to be developed by a bunch of Dino folks right now, but we don't see this as a Dino product. It's a public good for the ecosystem. We'll get more into that in a second. And I just wanted to start out here with explaining a little bit on what our first action items are here after this meeting. We're currently looking for 3 types of people to get involved with JSR. First of all, folks wanting to join the JSR moderation group. I know some of you have already filled out the form that is for that. Thank you for that. We will get back to you. Just for those who aren't aware, the moderation group will ultimately decide how JSR is moderated. You will be the deciders of what is allowed on JSR and what is not, how we should do scope limits and naming conflicts and all these things. You can sign up on the form that Ryan just sent. You'll also tackle individual case-by-case moderation challenges. Yeah, we can talk more about that in a future meeting though. Also, we want to set up a JSR governance board. This board will oversee JSR as a whole, right? Decide the overall direction of JSR, and we'll figure out how to move JSR into a foundation. More on that later as well. We're currently looking for people that have a track record in either foundation work or governance boards or in technical steering committees. And then finally, obviously, we're looking for engineering help. A lot of you are developers, and JSR is open source. It's written in TypeScript and Rust, and there's a lot of stuff to do. There's 190 some issues that some of them are easy, some of them are hard, and we'd love help on engineering for those. The current state of JSR, very, very high level is this. There, you can sort of split JSR into multiple different things, right? You can use JSR packages, which I think is pretty easy to do from Node, from Dino, from browsers, from other runtimes. Publishing new packages, if you are a Dino user, is on the question of whether there's a sign up for the governance board. I'll get back to that at the end of the slides. Publishing a new package, pretty good in Dino. Node has some challenges, particularly if you are publishing not TypeScript, but JavaScript plus c.ts files, especially in the case where you're publishing existing packages, and especially in the case where you want to test the package before you publish. This works great in Dino right now and does not work well in Node because we don't have a way for you to sort of try out your code locally before you upload it to JSR. And we don't support publishing JSX. So yeah, this is something we'd like to improve. I'll get to that in the roadmap in a second. Also want to give a bit of a detail on like how JSR works operationally right now. JSR is hosted on Google Cloud. It is run on a Postgres database on Google Cloud. It has a Rust backend running on Google Cloud Run. It has a fresh front end running in Dino, also on Cloud Run. Our fixed costs for this are approximately $400 a month for database and compute. We don't expect this to grow, but there's a variable cost for bandwidth. So you can expect that as JSR grows, there will be costs associated to bandwidth that we will have to deal with. So if you work at a CDN and want to partner with us on providing cheaper bandwidth, let's talk. Roadmap, there's two main focus areas: making publishing easier for existing folks in the Node ecosystem. As I showed you earlier, in other ecosystems, it's going much better, but particularly in Node, there's still some challenges to work out. And then the other thing is making it easier to consume packages. Obviously, the majority of users of JSR are not publishers, but consumers. So it's very important that we make the consumption experience as great as possible. But yeah, it's also important to get things published to JSR because otherwise there's nothing to consume. Particularly on the roadmap, automatically picking up DETS and JS pairs, which will significantly simplify publishing existing packages written for Node, because you will essentially be able to publish them as is. We're looking to work on a tool to generate JSR publishing configuration from a package JSON. So if you have an existing NPM package, there's a single tool that you could run, and then that package would be able to be published to JSR. And then providing some tooling that let you test or let you transpile your TypeScript code locally if you're running for Node to ensure that the code that you wrote will actually work after publishing. The other half of the roadmap, consumer experience. One of the bits of feedback that we've heard a lot is that it is difficult to use JSR packages from within other NPM packages right now, because you cannot like have an npm-rc file in your package JSON, or sorry, in your NPM package. We're looking to get in touch with other package managers here to ensure that the JSR scope can be remapped to JSR by default in package managers, which alleviates the need to have to specify an npm-rc at all. Yeah, this is some work that we would have to do together with other package managers there. So if you have contacts into or are an author of a different package manager, please also get in touch. Some other things, we want to expose the licensing and security features, attestations that we have more prominently on the website, including in search. And we want to have first-class support for changelogs, including auto-generated API changelogs. The final part of my talk here is open governance. So as I said earlier, JSR is designed to be a registry for the entire ecosystem. Hence, it should not be controlled by a single entity. And the best way of doing this, in our opinion, is to move JSR into an open foundation. This open foundation would have full control over JSR, would have the authority to steer its direction through the JSR governance board. And the JSR brand obviously would move into the foundation as well. JSR is operationally already very detached from Dino, so an actual move into a foundation is technically not a very difficult feat. The Dino company is prepared to continue to pay for hosting, so this is not like a, oh, we're trying to go into a foundation so we don't have to pay the bill anymore situation. This is really, we don't want to be the single entity controlling this, so we want to move this into a foundation. A bit more on the moderation group I mentioned earlier. A public registry obviously needs some moderation, right? You can't have people publish whatever they want as much as they want, because either they will start publishing like whole movies to your package manager, or yeah, they will do things that are illegal. And we need some moderation to deal with this. And we would like this to be a group that comes out of the community, is staffed by like regular people that are in the day-to-day of yeah, JavaScript, and can sort of figure out what should the policies be on what is allowed to be published to the registry, what the rules are, and then also decide on exceptional moderation cases. This group doesn't necessarily have to handle all the day-to-day of the moderation, although maybe that is still something we should figure out together as a group in this moderation group. But yeah, the main idea here is to figure out how to evolve policy and ensure that we have a consistent set of rules that we apply equally to everyone, and have like a final group that has a say on what is allowed and what isn't, that isn't just a single person. Yeah, so some open governance questions that we will want to answer pretty soon here are, how do we decide which foundation to move JSR to? Or do we decide to set up our own foundation? And the second one is, how do we form this JSR moderation group? How do we decide who becomes a member, and how do we ensure that this group is representative of the community at large, right? We want to make sure that the moderation group does not skew too much into any direction on any topic, so that we have a broad representation from the community, because yeah, moderation requires particularly strict inclusion. So again, what are we looking for right now? We're looking for people to join the governance board. You will be overseeing JSR moving into foundation. You will decide the overall direction of JSR, and we're particularly looking for people with a track record in this, ideally representing large companies or runtimes that are also in the space. If you want to join the governance board, please email Ryan. You can email him at ryan@dino.com. The moderation group, you will decide on how JSR is moderated, how the moderation rules should evolve, and you will tackle moderation cases that are difficult and fall outside of the day-to-day on a case-by-case basis. If you want to apply for this, there's a Google form, jsr.io/go/moderator, where you can apply. I know some of you already filled this out. You don't have to fill this out again. We will work on getting this moderation group set up soon, but we need to figure out the governance board situation first, so that we have somebody that can oversee the creation of the moderation group. And then finally, as I said earlier, engineering help. The entire project is open source on github.com/jsr-io. So if you would like to contribute there, please do. You're welcome to reach out to any of us if you have questions on how to contribute. That concludes the slides. And I think, yeah, let's just chat about this. So if you have questions about this or have comments, please raise your hand and let's chat. Max Rashes.
Hi. One question I had while talking, and it's always been kind of a question, is there risk of the bigger JSR gets, the worse Oracle could come after for using the word JavaScript in the title?
Do you want to respond, Ryan?
Well, as you might know, we don't consider the JavaScript trademark a valid trademark. I think I've written a blog post about why that is not the case. So I don't think that's a true fear, actually.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, Tony's got his JavaScript trademark t-shirt. Cool.
Maxwell?
So obviously, I mean, we use Rust a lot in this project. How are we thinking about how the Rust Foundation has basically responded to like the sort of corporate takeover by Amazon and things like that? And are there any learnings we can carry through into the governance of JSR?
I think we can. I think there's a preference, at least from us, to go with a foundation that has a track record in the past of like being a good steward of projects. There's a couple I could think of, but the way, for example, that Node.js lives inside of a foundation and has its technical steering committee, I think works pretty well and is relatively immune to like corporate takeovers, which I think is like very important to avoid for a public good thing like this. I think even in the Rust case, Crates.io is pretty detached from, I mean, it is obviously paid for by the Rust Foundation, but the Rust Foundation does not like exercise bad control over Crates.io in the Rust ecosystem. So I think there's obviously we have to be careful, but I'm not super concerned about that. Your Patel? Yeah, your Patel, you raised your hand. Okay, I will skip to, oh, Tony has left the queue. Fabian?
Hello, everyone. Are there any plans on how to finance
Hi,
JSR,
everyone.
or is the expectation that everyone
I would like
kind
to
of
share that I
yes,
would like
part
to
of?
be part of the community, like to move JSR forward.
Yeah,
And actually,
can
we
you
are
wait a second? And
yeah,
wait
sure.
for I'll call on you. Thank you.
Should I continue? Okay. Yeah, the question is basically how JSR plans to finance the project, or is it more intended as like a community project and everyone kind of spends his or her free time? Are there any plans or ideas? I'm just worried. Also, for me, it was great to see that Dino took over the initial setup of JSR. And I think this also helped the project to move on quick and bring up with or come up with a great innovation for the entire ecosystem. And I'm worried if the financial situation is complicated, that we will miss a lot of the innovation that's possible in this space.
Yeah, I think this is a very important point you bring up. So in the very immediate short term, I don't think this is something you have to be worried about because it is relatively cheap to run JSR right now. If you look at other projects or other package registries that are run by foundations, take for example Crates.io in the Rust ecosystem. The way these are financed is generally through the foundation and usually with some corporate sponsorship for things like bandwidth, which are generally the main cost of something like something like this. On the engineering side, which is obviously another big cost factor, I think there will continue to be engineering from the Dino company, but also other open source engineering from folks that are sort of doing this in their free time or maybe doing this as part of their job at another larger organization. But I don't see yeah, I think this is something that the governance board will have to figure out how exactly we want to do this. But considering what we have right now on the knowledge of like what JSR costs, I think it will ultimately boil down to how do we pay for a lot of bandwidth. And bandwidth is relatively, it's not free, but it's relatively cheap if you have enough scale. So yeah, I hope we can figure that out.
Thanks a lot. My question was mostly focused on the engineering part because that are probably the bigger costs and also the most important thing to move on quickly. Yeah, also as you said, it's probably the task of the government group to figure that out. But it could be important to invite big companies that could be interested so that they pay employees that can focus on JSR. And because I think that's important. If people only work like an hour every day on it, it's hard to move big things.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Also, if other folks have responses, by the way, please do raise your hand as well or comment in the chat that you would like to respond to this topic. I like, at least initially, there will be like, obviously there will be engineering that is done by the Dino company that we are sponsoring that will provide like the sort of like, we will ensure that CI is passing. We will ensure that there is that dependencies are up to date and that deployments are being made and things like that. Yeah, I mean, we need to find open source contributors, but there will be a baseline of engineering that is provided by the Dino company.
Thank you.
Tony, go ahead.
Consideration to membership, association, affiliation with anyone else like Linux Foundation, OpenJS Foundation, from any category in terms of, I don't know, even through like certification programs or anything like that. I'm curious. I was really involved back in the day with when IOJS became associated with Linux Foundation. I'm wondering if there's been any thought along those lines.
I don't think there's been any thought from us specifically on like corporate sponsorships or anything like that. I think this is definitely something that the governance board should see as part of its charter, though, as moving this to foundation, figuring out how inside of the foundation we can interest corporate groups to work on JSR and to sponsor JSR. I mean, there's obviously some part of that is just going to be like there's corporate members in the foundation itself, and as such, there is like sort of indirect corporate sponsorship of the project through the foundation. But yeah, it is possible that we could that the governance board could decide to find other ways to do corporate sponsorship.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm conflating something, but in my mind, I'm thinking like as an organization, for example, an organization can become a member of OpenJS Foundation, like Node.js. So I'm curious if you thought about it from that angle.
As in, like, sorry, I don't like. Do you mean like JSR would entice somebody to join? Like,
Yeah,
let's say JSR moves under. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Luca. I'm probably overthinking this and probably way too premature. You know, because membership normally. Yeah. Let me just move on. I guess something I was wondering if you'd already thought about, but no big deal.
Yeah, maybe we can chat about this after the fact. I'm very interested about your thoughts. The next person in queue, Maxwell.
Yeah, so I guess kind of just like a continuation on what we were talking about with Fabian's point. I'm currently working for the American Express JS Functions team, which is kind of like a in-house Lambda. So super similar. A big pain point for us is like these internally audited NPM packages and like updating those and like being able to use basically the NPM packages that we need to use. And obviously like there's a lot of like there's a big process in going through that all. So definitely would Luca, you be someone that would be like potentially good resource to like talk more about how JSR could be like a better tool or like a better alternative for creating something like this that would work on like an enterprise level, and then see if like this would be something that could be like a potential partnership there.
Yeah, I mean, please reach out. I think this is like ties in very well also with like private packages and that discussion. I think there's another question there that I think we'll need to settle after the governance board sort of is created as to whether JSR itself should support private packages or whether we should provide ways for you to self-host like a little JSR for your private packages, or whether there's some other way we can do this. But yeah, I absolutely would love to start that discussion. Please like open an issue for any specifics.
Great, thanks.
I don't have anyone else on the queue right now. Okay, we're nearly at time here. Let me share what we're looking for slide again. So yeah, again, if you're interested in joining this governance board, if you want to help move JSR into Foundation, please reach out to Ryan. This is something that we actively want to do like very soon. So this is yeah. If you know somebody that would be interested, please reach out to them and ask whether they would be interested in joining. Then on the JSR moderation group, please apply to the form. As I had said previously, we'll get back to you after the governance board is created. And then for engineering help, you can contribute right now on GitHub. We'll set up another JSR meeting. Andy, did we set up a cadence for this?
We haven't yet, but we can decide that.
Okay, yeah, so what I will do is I'll post an issue on the JSR issue tracker, and I will see if I can get the list of email addresses that joined this meeting, and I'll email all of you the next date. And otherwise, we'll announce it on the Twitter as well. And I'll also open an issue specifically to for the agenda for next meeting. So you can add agenda items beforehand, and then we can have more in-depth discussion on specific items. I know this one was like sort of very high level and yeah, very ad hoc because it's the first one, but I'm hoping we can yeah, do this more in the future. Okay, cool. Thank you everyone, and see you soon.